Welcome to the boreal forests of Alberta, Canada, home to some of the most diverse wildlife populations and pristine natural ecosystems in the entire world. But within these thriving ecosystems reside various massive oil sand deposits, also known as tar sands, whose resources make them a prime target for big oil industry and petroleum companies. This movie aims to explain what tar sands are and how they are harvested, and furthermore demonstrate the devastating environmental impacts that they have. So just what are tar sands, and how are they processed? Tar sands are a mixture of sand, minerals found in the earth, and bitumen. The bitumen found in tar sands is an extremely thick and viscous form of petroleum that can be extracted and then processed into a form of crude oil. Because the bitumen is so thick, it is impossible to pump it from a well, as is done with regular oil. Instead, there are two primary methods used for extracting bitumen. The first involves pumping hundreds of gallons of hot, pressurized water underground to force the heavy oil to the surface. The second involves clear-cutting the natural forest in order to directly mine the oil sands beneath them using cranes, trucks, and bulldozers. The mined tar sands are sent to an oil treatment plant where the bitumen is separated with a hot water technique and then processed into synthetic crude that is easier to transport. Extracting crude oil from tar sands is an arduous and expensive task, but in recent years it has become a profitable enterprise due to advances in technology and the high demand for crude oil. Alberta, Canada has the largest known reserve of tar sands in the world, thought to hold an estimated 900 billion barrels of oil. This estimated recoverable amount of oil is second only to Saudi Arabia's reserves. However, harvesting this resource presents a large number of environmental hurdles. The hot water techniques used to extract bitumen from tar sands produce large amounts of wastewater. This water is dumped into what are known as tailings ponds. These toxic tailings ponds already cover more than 130 square kilometers in northern Alberta and are so incredibly massive that they can even be seen from outer space. Each day, over 480 million gallons of toxic water are generated by tar sands oil production. This water contains lead, mercury, arsenic, and many other toxins that pollute the air and water. Cancer rates in towns surrounding the oil processing plants have skyrocketed, while the toxic ponds continue to take a dramatic toll on the natural wildlife, including flocks of migrating birds and ducks who land on them. Furthermore, companies that process tar sands have become major contributors to climate change. In 2007, oil sands operations generated about 40 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions, the equivalent of pollution from 10 million cars. The oil extraction process for tar sands releases 30 to 70% more greenhouse gases than conventional oil production. Every day, about 800 million cubic feet of natural gas are burnt in order to provide the heat needed to extract the oil from the sands. Keystone XL is a proposed pipeline that would run from tar sands reserves in Alberta all the way down to Gulf Coast refineries in Texas. Since the pipeline would cross the U.S.-Canadian border, the Trans-Canada Oil Company has applied to the U.S. State Department for a presidential permit to begin constructing. Proponents of the pipeline argue that its construction will help wean the U.S. off its dependence on oil from the Middle East and create jobs. While opponents say that Keystone XL poses real threats to human health and ecosystem stability in the heartland of the United States. The diluted bitumen that would be transported by the pipeline contains volatile compounds that gas off into the air. Even a small spill along the pipeline would be putting toxic substances into the surrounding air and water. The proposed route of the pipeline runs through the Ogallala Aquifer, which could lead to the contamination of the United States' main freshwater supply.
We need a much bolder and much bigger set of solutions. We have to make a serious nationwide commitment to developing new sources of energy, and we have to do it right away, right now.
The world and the United States are at a crossroads. We can either continue with our current unsustainable use of environmentally destructive oil harvesting from places such as Alberta's Athabasca oil sands, or we can forcefully break our addiction to big oil and focus our efforts on developing newer, cleaner forms of energy, such as wind and solar power. The choice is ours.